Hello everyone, welcome to Titan Academy. In this video, we will show some complex options with Titan forms, such as dependent picklists from Salesforce, picklists via record type, translating picklist values, custom translations of your Titan form, some JavaScript, and at the end of the video, I'll show you a little brain teaser we usually ask for the Titan form certification. All right, so let's start with our dependent picklists. Let's say in our Salesforce environment, this is the account object settings. We can see we have SLA picklist controlled by industry. So let's find our industry field. And let's take a look at the SLA. And we see for agriculture, for instance, we only enable bronze, apparel, gold and silver, banking, platinum, and biotechnology. Everything is enabled. So let's add them onto our Titan form here. So let's do a drop down. We'll call this industry. Let's clone this guy, and I'll name this SLA. For both of them, let's head over here and sync from Salesforce. So we'll say account, and we'll map in the industry picklist. Hit apply. Same for the SLA. Sync from Salesforce. Account and SLA. Hit apply. And let's head over to our Salesforce integration, get, and we can see that Titan added a load picklist get that runs on form load. And if I'll take a look at the mapped fields, it mapped it industry to industry and SLA to SLA. Let's apply and finish, publish this guy, and let's see what happens. So right now, anything I choose, I still get all these four options, and we want it to align with the dependency in Salesforce. So what we can do is very simple. If we head over to SLA, and I'll head over to advanced, I'll say dependent picklist, select parent dropdown, and in our instance it's industry. We'll hit apply and save, refresh this guy, and let's take a look. If I'll select agriculture, I got just bronze. If I'll select biotechnology, I should get all four options, and if I'll select something that's not there, I see that the SLA is unavailable. And that obviously can be done with multiple picklists. So let's say we have another one that's controlled by it. So for example, the customer priority, if we'll add this drop down here, and we'll name it customer priority, and we'll sync it from Salesforce. And we can do the same. So we'll head over to advanced. We'll say this one is a dependent and controlled by industry, same as Salesforce. And I'll refresh this. And if I'll try and select something now before I made my selection for industry, nothing gonna happen. It's not gonna open any options. And if I'll select one, I'll see the options pair the dependency. Let's move on to translating picklists from Salesforce, and for bringing values pair record type. So let's start with record type filtering. So let's say if I'll head back to my account object and I'll take a look at the record types, I see I have RT and RT2. If I'll head over to RT and I'll take a look at the industry picklist, I can see that all the picklist values are available. But what if we want to show for a certain record type the values that are available? So if I'll hit cancel and I'll head back to RT2 and I'll take a look at the industry, I can see that only agriculture and apparel are available for that record type. So let's grab this guy and I'll head over to my get, to my picklist get, load picklist, and I'll say record type, and I want to filter by record type, and you can either select the hidden, so if you had a hidden on the screen, then you can have conditioning, which one you want to take depending on conditions, etc. Or you can, and that will be completely dynamic, or you can just do other, in my instance, just to show you how this works. And I'll hit apply and apply. I'll save this and I'll head over here and refresh. I can see that in the industry right now I have just agriculture and apparel, and if we will switch back to RT, and I'll grab the record type ID from here, and I'll head back to my get and record type and switch it to this guy, hit apply and apply, and we'll save it, and let's refresh. I can see we have all of our options available. That's great. Let's move on to translation. So let's take a look at the Salesforce translation here. So I have, I believe, translation for some picklist values for Hebrew. So let's change the language to Hebrew, and we'll take a look at the account object picklist values. And let's take a look at what we have on the screen. I think I've translated the SLA. Okay, great. So the SLA is translated. I have bronze to bronze, gold to zahav, platinum to platina, and silver to kesef. Okay, so let's head back to our get, and we'll head over to translation, and we'll say translate, and I want you to translate to Hebrew. And in a second, I'll show you how to do this dynamically. And very important to cache the translation, since every time, if you don't cache it, then we'll go and pull the translation from Salesforce, and that will take time. So cache it, very important. We'll hit apply and save. Let's refresh this. And we will select agriculture, and we will see that the bronze only available. This is why I get bronze. Translated to Hebrew. Biotechnology, we will get all of them translated. If we want to do this dynamically, let's add a hidden here, and you can base the selection on the ft-lang or anything else. In our instance, let's just do lang, and I'll save this. I'll head back to my get, and I'll go to translation, and I'll say dynamic. Now I want you to pull it from the lang hidden. I'll hit apply and apply. This guy is FLD92, and I'll save this. Let's pass FLD92, and I think the language code for Hebrew in Salesforce is IW. So if I'll pass this guy, and let's head over to biotechnology, I see nothing happened since we're running the get of the load pick list on form load. And that happened before our hidden got assigned. So what we have to do in this instance, make sure that we have the hidden before the get of the pick lists ran. So I just switched it to custom button action. I'll hit apply, and I'll head over to the lang, and I'll say conditioning. If this guy is not empty, we do not need to support the opposite. And we'll head over to the Salesforce and run our load pick list. Now we're certain that our hidden is there before our get ran. All right, so we'll select again biotechnology, and here is our translation. If I'll change this to something that's not recognized, so we do not have a translation for this, and I'll head back. Let's select biotechnology. I get the values in English since this wasn't recognized. And if you add more languages to filter, to translate by, then it will translate to whatever you have in Salesforce automatically. All right, let's move on to custom translation of your form. So I'll head over to form settings. First thing you want to do is, let's click view more. You want to head over to personalization. You want to make sure that you have your base language selected. In my instance, the base language is English. Next step is head over to optimization, and I'll select the custom translate, and I'll hit edit. Now this is amazing since you can custom translate to any language you want. And let's select, let's say French. And what this does is, whatever we have on the form, notice this, we have a label, let's say the industry pick list, we can translate the label, we can list header, the user tip, same goes for SLA, whatever we have on the form, the get integration, we can select what message we're doing for the loading, for the skipped. If we had push here, then you'll be able to translate that as well. And the coolest thing about this, that you can set custom messages, which controls all the messages in the that comes from the Titan form itself. You can custom translate it to your language. So if you have invalid email address, you can control it, the valid text, the thank you, anything that comes right off the bat from Titan, you can translate. Payment integration, automatic text and rules, etc. You name it, you can translate everything here. All right, so let's grab, hit cancel. Let's translate the industry. Okay, so head over to translate, and I'll say industry, and we'll copy this guy. I'll back over here, and I'll translate this. Just as an example, you typically would translate a lot more than just one field, but let me just show you how this works. All right, the next thing we've got to do is pass in an ftlang, and I'll show you how you can receive it in a hidden and play with it as you like. All right, so I'll head over to the hidden, and I'll say this is a system value, and I'll call this ftlang. And I'll save this. And now, if I'll change this to ftlang equals fr, then what will happen here, first of all, notice this. We get this bar. This form is translated to French. And now you can revert back or no, and I'll show you how to remove this bar. And we can see that the industry value was overridden to French. So if we'll head back to the form settings, under custom translation, we can say hide translation bar, and we'll refresh this, and there we go. It's not there anymore. So by the ftlang, you can pass in any language you like and custom translate to that language just using this guy over here. Next up, I will show you some usages of the calculated field. Let's clear everything we have on the form. So I'll get rid of that and get rid of this. And let's just say we add the calculated element, and let's take a look at that. So the first calculated options we can do, we see string mode, and again, everything in Titan has a question mark. You can use it to reveal what everything does. So once you click the question mark, it will take you to a quick video explaining what this element or this function does. So the first option for us to use it is with numbers. So that can sum up, you can do math options, you can map other fields. In a second, I'll show you a more concrete usage of this. So let's say we have a number here, and a number here, and let's change the label for this to numeric 2, numeric 1, and in the calculated, let's just leave it as a number, and I'll set calculated. I can say numeric plus numeric 1. I'll hit apply and save. Head over here, and I'll say 1 and 1 equals 2. That's great. So that's the numeric values. Another great way to use it is from a section. So if we'll add a section here, and it doesn't matter if it comes from Salesforce, if it's a repeated section, and that's the point that I want to show you here. So let's say we'll do a repeated section. And in the repeated section, we'll add two numbers. So that will be numeric and numeric 2. Num2. And in the section, let's add a calculated number. And we'll do the same, numeric plus numeric 2. And notice that it's in a section. Oops. Let's get rid of this. So numeric plus num2. We'll hit this, we'll save. Let's refresh. And I'll say 1 plus 1 equals 2, and I'll add another one. And I'll say 3 plus 3 equals 6. Wonderful. What if we want to sum up all the calculated that we have within the section? So this is really, really simple. So we'll grab another calculated field. And let's put it on the top so we can see it clearly. And I'll say I want you to sum up the calculated. Now watch what will this do. And let's save it. Let me just make this section auto sizing, and we'll do repeat margin at 5, and we'll save. And let's refresh. Alright, so I'll say 1 plus 1, 2, and 3 plus 3 is 6. So what the calculated outside of the section did, it summed up whatever we have within the section. So right now we have 2 plus 6 is 8, and if we will do again 1 plus 1, 2, then we get 10. This is really great, and you have a lot of functionality with the calculated. With the number calculated, you can grab the number of lines, and you can know how many lines you've got, and then you can run conditions on that. It's really limitless. Another option for us to use the calculated is to use string mode. So string mode is whenever you want to concatenate strings. So you can say, for instance, if I'll remove this on the top and I'll get rid of these two, and let's put in a text box, and then you can say string mode, and you can say text box, and then you can either say this, and then whenever you have a text box, it will add this to it. Or you can do two text boxes, or let's add the section line number. We'll do rand, and then we'll add the section line number of FLD97, and we'll save this, and then let's see what happens. So we can see already rand 1, since this is the first iteration of this section, and we'll do hello, and there we have it. Alright, and the same thing goes for the calculated outside of the section. If we'll drop in a calculated over here and sum up this calculated, or anything that's in here, let's say a text box, so let's do it. I'll grab this guy and clone it. And let's change what's happening over here. And now we can say, get rid of this, and we're just going to sum up the text box. And if I'll refresh this and I'll do something over here, then it will just add everything that we have within the section. Wonderful. Another great way to use the calculated is you can control the value that's returned using JavaScript. And you have two ways of doing it. Your first way is, if you click change, is select function mode, and let's take a look at the function mode. So if we'll search function mode, and we'll take a look at this. So we have a video here, and let's read all about it. And then we can see that we can grab a function like so. Let's grab it, and I'll paste it over here, and we can get rid of everything here and say let text box equals text box. And again, you can here do anything you can imagine, anything with JavaScript, get dates, manipulate dates, run calculations, anything you can think of with JavaScript is supported here. The main point is you want to return the value to the calculated field. So let's say here we want to return, we'll do text, and we want to return the text plus hello from JS. And we'll hit apply and save. And if I'll go back here and I'll add a value, so we see A plus hello from JS. Another way to run JavaScript from the calculated field is if we'll click on change, and then we can select also advanced mode, and then we have a very similar way of using it. So we get the function, we have the result, and we can return result. But from here, if we want to get a field value, then we'll have to use these guys, and we covered it in the past videos. So if I'll head over here, we can use any of the form type and JS functions to get a value, to set a value, etc. And the JS functions has a lot of features to offer you. So go through them, and you can explore what each does. And we've sampled it on the table video on how to get data from the parent as well. So if you want to get data from a parent window, so you can do window.parent, and then we can do get ft value by ID or set ft value by ID to get data from the parent window if you have the current form in a modal or contained by a different form as an iframe. Next up is a really cool feature, and I believe we've shown it in the past videos, is the version control. So if we'll head over to the form settings, and we'll take a look at the debug mode, and we will select enable version. And if I'll click view versions, right now I have none since we did not enable it yet, and I'll save it. And we have a version. And then we can use this version, and we'll basically revert everything back to that version. So for instance, if I will get rid of everything here, delete, and I'll do the same for my push and my get, anything I have on the form. So let's say I'll delete this get as well. I'll hit apply and save, and I'll head back to the debug mode, view versions. Right now I'm on this current version, but what if you made a mistake and you want to revert back to a version? This is very, very important when you have complex forms or any form. You should really use this feature, that if you make a mistake, you can always revert back to an earlier version. So if I will select use this version, it will take me back to my previous version with everything in it. And if I had a get, it goes back as well. All right, next up I'll show you a little brain teaser, and what we will do with it, we're going to have two text boxes, one of them to search case number and the other one to display the description of the case. We will not have any buttons, any hiddens, nothing on the screen, just these two text boxes. And what we will do is, if we find the case by the case number that we search, we will return the case description. or the case subject. Doesn't really matter. If we do not find it, what we will do is we will save the case and return the case number that was created. So we all know the case number on the case is dynamic, it's an auto number, and after that case was created, we'll return it back. So this is a little bit complex since we're only allowed to use 2 text boxes, nothing else. No hiddens, no buttons, nothing else. And many times we ask this question in our form Titan certification. Alright, so let's begin. And there are a couple of ways of doing it. I'll show you one. And you might be asking the Titan certification test to show a different way than this, but let me show you how this can be done. Alright, so we'll add a text box and we'll say search case by case number. And the other text box, what we will do is just display the description. Slash, let's do subject slash case number, depending on if we created it or found it. Alright, let's head over to our get rid of whatever we have, and we'll get a case. And what we will do is use an custom action button. In the comment we will say get a case by case number. And in our condition, what we will say is please bring me the case where the case number equals my search case by case number, or, and soon you will see why, the subject equals search case by case number. And we'll hit apply, and let's set our mapping. So the only thing we need to map is the subject slash case number, and we'll say we'll map it to the, let's map it always to the case number. We can do conditional, etc. Let's just map it to the case number. So if we find it, we'll bring the case number. If not, we'll create it and return the case number. And we will hit apply and finish. Let's just change this to case number, and we'll call this found case number. Let's save this. And now we have to set up a push. So what we want to do with the push is create a case. And we will use it in custom action button as well. And in a second we'll have to create a rule condition, and I'll show you why in a second. So let's map our fields. We will say subject, we'll map it to the case number, search, and that's that. We'll hit apply, and finish. And let's save it like so, and we'll see what happens. So I'll hit publish, and we did not set up conditions. So let's say if this field is not empty, since both of them are using custom action button, we have to invoke it. So if the current field is not empty in the search case by case number, then what we want to do is run Salesforce action, and let's do the case get and the create a case. And this is wrong right now what we're doing, and I'll explain why in just a second. Let's head over to Salesforce. Let's grab a case number that exists. Let's say this guy. And I'll refresh this, and let's put this case number over here. We have a get, we have a push, and we did get our case returned, so we did find it, but let's take a look at the integration logs. So what happened over here, even though we found the case, another case still got created. So that's not good. We have to, if we find the case, then we want to run the get case and the push to the case. And if we do not find it, then we want to create a new case. All right, so the first thing we have to fix is in our push. So what we will say is, in our action create, we will say rule condition, only run this if found case number is empty. And the second thing we have to do, since our condition is running two Salesforce action, one of them is the get, the other one is a push, and we do not know which one will run first, we have to set custom execution order. So we'll head back to the Salesforce action, we will say custom execution order, and we want to run the get first and the create second. So we are sure that the get finished, then we will decide if to create the case or not. Before we run this, let's get rid of this extra case that we do not need. So I'll delete this guy. And let's go back to this case. Okay, so let's publish our form. Let me get rid of the extra windows here and let's search it. Okay, so we saw our get run. We saw a message for saving, even though it didn't run because our rule condition caught it. And if I'll refresh, I see no new pushes ran. So that's perfect. So we found the case and we returned it and we did not create unnecessarily. What happens, let's refresh this, if I'll do like so. What will happen now is that we did not find this case number since this doesn't exist, but what happened there is that we created one, but the get didn't run. So what we have to do here is like so. So we'll head back to our get, so everything will work perfectly, and I'll hit edit on the get, and instead of running this get only once, we will clone this and let's name it get a case by case number after create, and instead by case number we'll say by search. And we will set our map, or we'll set our condition to, instead of by case number, to the subject. Since we're pushing whatever we searched into the subject, we'll say that the subject equals to what we searched. And again, we can set a rule condition saying only run this if the found case number is empty. So we don't run gets unnecessarily. And let's see how this runs. And I'll refresh this guy. And let's do it like so. Okay, we have the first get run. We found it, even though we saw the saving, and we can disable the messages for the saving. And then it will just run in the background. We found it, and let's see what happened over here in the integration logs. We did not create. That's perfect. Let's refresh it and say ZZZ. And saving, and our get didn't run, our third get, since we did not add it to the condition. So let's head back to our condition on the element, and we will say click to configure results and Salesforce action, and we'll add the third one, and we'll say run this one third. Okay, let's reset. and search it. Perfect, we have one get running, save was caught by rule condition. We did not save anything new to Salesforce. We can see that we have this one, the third one is from the previous one, so that's 12.14, we're at 12.15 right now. And let's create a new one. So we'll run this and we'll do like so. Let's see what happens now. So we ran, we pushed, and we got. So let's just make sure everything is perfect. So we do not have loops. We get once, we do not find, we save it to Salesforce, and then we re-get it again. So let's take a look at this record. And what enabled us to do it here is the reason that we pushed whatever we searched into the subject, and then we can decide that we're pulling it also from the case subject as well, and this is how we know what we searched and we know which case number to return. And if I'll head back to my form, I see that they matched, and this is how it's done.